I'm Melissa Gilbert. I direct our Center for Community Engagement here at Otterbein and would really like to take this opportunity to welcome you to this part of our day. Our sessions this afternoon for the next hour, we're going to be spending some time having what we hope are very meaningful conversations about things that you're passionate about. It's time for us, if you sort of look up here with the World Cafe model, it's time for us to be exchanging ideas together, to be sharing those big ideas that you heard this morning, taking those to the next step. It's time for us to be drawing on the unique perspectives in the room. And just to point that out, we have here high school students, college students, we have many professionals from the community, many of our Otterbein faculty and staff are here. We come from many different situations in our lives and bring to these conversations today extremely unique perspectives. So part of the World Cafe model is the opportunity to hear from people who are situated in different places in their lives and are wearing sort of different shoes today. It's also about synthesizing our discoveries. So as we share time this afternoon, we are going to be thinking about how all of your ideas can come together to create bigger and bolder and more innovative ideas. So synthesizing a lot of what we're doing together. And then at the very end of our session, we are going to be moving all of these ideas into action. You're going to see something on your table right now. It's a call to action. At the end of our session today, we'll ask each of you to fill out that card and tell us what you're going to do next. We want you to do that so that we can map your action and look forward to seeing what you do in the future. Last year, we had a community summit very similar to this one, where we focused on women and the new American dream. What we did at that summit is we challenged every participant to go back to their communities, create something new, think about women and girls and the challenges they struggle with in their communities, and map out an action plan, some strategy that they would put into place. And we mapped those strategies. The Google map you see on the board here is the map of all the people that left our summit last year and the things that they agreed and promised to do. We would like you to make a similar kind of promise this afternoon before you leave to tell us what you'd like to do back in your own communities. And we're going to map those along with this map so that for the continuous years we will know what our summit participants have promised to do and the kinds of things that they're taking back to their communities. We are really fortunate today to have with us Joe DeLoss, who's up here sharing the stage with me. Joe is a dear friend and colleague. I met Joe when he was an undergrad at a university in Bexley. We don't try to say the name of that university here at Otterbein, but you can probably guess which one it is. There's some of our rivals over there. But Joe today is not a rival. He is a partner in this work. Joe was an undergrad at that time when I first met him, and he was a presidential scholar who had been invited to participate in an amazing program to help create service learning, social innovation, those kind of projects on his own campus. So for those of you who are students in the audience, know that Joe started in a very similar place to where you are now, thinking about how to make social change happen. Since college, since he was a young lad in college, he's now turned into one of, I think, Columbus's most fresh, noble, and bold entrepreneurs. He has, in his past several years, created two different really innovative social entrepreneurial enterprises. The first one was Freshbox. I didn't say Joe was fresh, but that was probably one of the adjectives we'd use to describe him as well. But fresh, full of fresh new ideas. He started Freshbox at Lutheran Social Services, which has grown to help many, many homeless people in Columbus build new careers for themselves in the food industry. It's one of the top catering companies now in Columbus that provides catering lunch boxes for lots of Columbus enterprises. He also has founded his own venture capitalist kind of organization called Nobul, and he's probably going to tell you a little bit more about that as we move through the day together, and is starting another possibility and enterprise called Framework that looks at employing people who are hard to employ in some ways. They're coming out of our prison systems. They're also moving off the streets of homelessness. So Joe is one of our most fabulous young social entrepreneurs in Columbus, and he today is going to help take us through the World Cafe. I'm going to turn it over to Joe.
Thank you, Melissa. I noticed you're wearing purple, which is capital color. Thank you so much for having me. This is a new experience to me, and so hosting a World Cafe is something I haven't done before. But from what I understand, World Cafes are usually spread over multiple hours. Social change is urgent, and so we've shrunk ours down to just under an hour. And so I want to jump right into it. And the process for today is pretty simple. And so in the groups you're at, and so if you're at a table that could consolidate with another one, you should. I think everybody's full. The process will be that I'm going to toss out a question to everybody, and it's going to be your table's task to come up with answers to that. And so I don't want to get to the questions just yet, but really the objective of a World Cafe is to harness all of the power and energy in this group and all of the collective wisdom to really come up with innovative solutions. And so leveraging everything you've already learned today from the other speakers, from Candace and Tara, we will take it to the next level. And so this is the point in the day where we're really thinking about action. And so one of the number one rules of a World Cafe that Melissa has beat into me over the last few weeks is that it's really about engaging everybody's voice at the table. And so with that in mind, I have a disclaimer first. And so Nobul is a company I run now that does consulting and other work and invest in social enterprise businesses. But the intent of Nobul is both kind of style and purpose, to do things boldly, to tackle change aggressively, and that's what I want you all to do here. And so what I would ask, though, when we think about engaging everybody's voice, there's a voice that isn't being engaged right now in this room, and that's the voice of people affected by many of these problems. And so as we go forward and think about solutions, it's really important that you put your community hat on and think from a perspective of people that are affected by these challenges in different ways. And so all of these will come relevant in the first question. And so the first question, without further ado, is about conjuring up real, true solutions to some of these challenges. And so part of that is that every table here needs a host. And so if you look and see this flyer, it's not necessarily sitting in front of the person that needs to be the host, but somebody from each table will need to volunteer to be a host. And so after every table has a host, hold up your host card. Every table needs one. Great. So a few tables. Be a self-starter. Great. Every table? Perfect. All right, every table has a host. So the host role is to really facilitate. At some point, we are going to all switch tables. The host needs to stay where they are. Everybody else is going to move. So it just made it easier for you, host. You don't have to move. And so this first question, identify a challenge in your own community. You all contributed to these challenges or ideas here. We don't want to think about these exclusively as challenges. We're going to put our entrepreneurial hats on and think of these as opportunities. So there's a huge opportunity for improvement in every one of these. And so as a table, you need to pick one particular cause that is more interesting to you than others. And you'll have 15 minutes to develop an innovative strategy to address that challenge. And so an innovative strategy isn't just about thinking of a clever way to do something differently, but really think disruptively about ways that you could permanently fix this, not just a Band-Aid of putting more food on the pantry shelves, but really long-term solutions to an idea. And so when I think of this, I think exclusively as an entrepreneur, which there's opportunities for improvement. The market's failed some way, and there's an opportunity for you to take charge and do something differently. And so part of this is to connect dots that probably haven't been connected. And so the second question is going to be about mobilizing resources to bring these ideas to life. And so without further ado, you've got 15 minutes. Get after it. Oh, yes. You've got things that you can doodle on. Go forth and doodle. Everyone, you'll have 2 more minutes, but let me grab your attention for 1 second. So if everybody directs their attention up here, you'll see something you may have seen in a Sunday newspaper, but a Mad Lib. And this is a filling in the blank. And so after we give you another minute or so, we will be bringing you all back, and we want to hear from you about the idea you have. And so I'll give you an example. We are going to build an after-school fitness program to solve for childhood obesity. And so what I want is, I want your 20 to 30 second pitch of what you're working on. And so the host will stand up and share that with the group. All right, so 2 more minutes. Go forth. All right, everyone, we're queued up to go. So I need a table to volunteer to go first. Table in the back. Hold on, I'm coming to you. That's all right, this mic makes it a lot easier.
Great. We are going to utilize our schools and our communities to solve the mismanagement of children by linking agencies, use existing resources, and engaging our volunteer networks. Okay, does that work?
Thank you. Ready? Stephanie, you ready? Thanks, Stephanie.
Okay. We are going to develop a social network utilizing technology and existing community social capital to solve problems for caregivers of seniors and disabled and increase their advocacy.
Tremendous. Host?
Hello. We are going to compile a database of financial and personal resources for financial literacy to solve the problem of personal management and financial issues that come up with all different types of people of all different types of lives that don't have the resources to even understand how to navigate the financial system.
Thank you. We ready? Sure. Perfect.
All right. We said that we are going to create a community project focused on youth across the community coming together to solve the problem of a kind of communities' economic stereotypes and segregation that sometimes develops.
Thank you. Big ideas happening already. You ready? Yeah. Go for it.
We are going to create a transportation service system to help solve transportation problems in small communities throughout northern and southern Ohio.
Tremendous. Thank you. Who's the host?
We're going to mobilize the Appalachian community around clean water through education to help solve the problem of lack of jobs and hopefully create a better environmental situation and a better quality of life.
Thank you. Sorry.
We're going to encourage engagement for all social issues so that people know how to approach them better instead of just focusing on one specific issue we all know as a group, like what we're going into, how to be inclusive and listen and be aware and self-aware of your own issues so that we can approach all of the issues better.
Yeah, host. Okay. So we are going to implement an inclusivity curriculum in the schools, starting with elementary, that integrates each classroom. So math, science, English, every classroom will be integrated with hands-on and innovative lessons in order to solve the battle of discrimination against such topics like gender, mental health, race, equality, really integrate it all into one.
Did every host spoke? All right, so we have some tremendous ideas ranging from financial literacy to education to economic sustainability to transportation to senior health care. Will all the hosts raise their hand again? So remember, all hosts, you're staying where you were. The next question, let's get to it, is really about how we bring these ideas into motion. And so oftentimes you hear that good ideas are a dime a dozen. And unfortunately, many people have good ideas from the comfort of their love seat or the comfort of their favorite chair. But many ideas aren't executed appropriately and can't come to life. And so this next question is really about execution. And so consider the innovative strategies you developed in round one, all the ones we just heard. What if you were to design a new leadership model to implement your strategy? What would it look like? And leadership is a broad term in this context, really about the resources, the players, the community agencies and partners that will really be valuable to bring ideas to life. And so think about that in a much broader sense than the one singular person that's going to bring something together, because we know that leadership doesn't exist in a silo. It's about building a web of things that can make things happen. And so if you heard something that did motivate you at one of the other tables, you should make a fast dash to that table before the seat gets filled. If not, we'll give you a couple minutes right now to go find a new seat, and the host just remind people of the idea you had. Move quick. Everybody, as you're seated, I have a couple more instructions. So you'll recognize on your table there are swirly-gigs and squares and shapes and different colorful things. The objective in this is you'll have 10 minutes as a group to really visualize the leadership model that represents the execution of the idea that you have, the innovative strategy. And so as you look at all of those things on your table, don't hesitate to move things, use things, and present something that after this round we can all walk around and see. And so a very visual idea is what your target is now. And so visualize that leadership model. Thank you. So the next thing we're going to do is going to take a tour of the room, and everybody will be able to see everyone's illustrations and ideas on their table. So if you haven't put something on your table yet, you should probably do that. As you finish your illustrations, feel free to stand up and start moving around the room and circulating and seeing other people's visuals. We'll have 6 or 7 minutes. The host doesn't have to stay, but if you can if you want. It's really unbelievable how many ideas can come out of such a short time of collaboration. So how many people were able to comprehend one of the other ideas via their visual? Yes? Did you understand what you were looking at when you looked at people's visuals? Yeah? All right. Leadership is one of those things that we just took a different approach to, a different look, and thinking of that a lot more holistically and comprehensively. So it's interesting in thinking about the World Cafe model of engaging everybody's voices, and really how most of these ideas did think about engaging voices, even those not in this room, in a way that is really represented in the power structure or the leadership structure of a lot of these models. And often we think about doing things with the resources we already have or the systems we already have. And so it's a really great segue into thinking about what happens next. And so action is really scalable. It's not about having a multi-level new legislative bill that has to be passed. Many of these ideas and the ideas that have been sparked are things that could start now. And so what I encourage everybody to do is to write their idea and their step. It doesn't have to be related to the idea you contributed to, but given the knowledge and some of the energy you picked up on today, think about the thing that you're doing next that will contribute. And so it might be at your school, it might be at your home, it might be in your neighborhood, but these call to actions will be something important, and I believe Melissa is going to map them and map the impact out. And so I've appreciated the opportunity to talk and speak here, and so as you do this, I'm going to invite President Crindle up to really wrap us up and send us out.
Well, thank you, Joe. And after hearing about decentralization of leadership and lack of hierarchy, I feel funny about getting up here. But be that as it may, sometimes we have to, I don't know, take the microphone and do it. So the first thing to do is to thank Joe for facilitating. Thank you very much. And once again, we have a journal that we hope you will use to record some thoughts and your own reflections on today's experience. So your First World Cafe. So you can think about that and write some things down. But we wanted you to have a takeaway to remind you of the event and the work that you did today, and we appreciate your participation very much. So thank you. Thank you. The second thing is to thank Melissa Gilbert for coordinating today's World Cafe. She and her staff and friends, I don't know how many of you helped with this, but I'm sure many of you did. So thank you all for the setup and for making this a successful. I guess I was impressed that I don't know that the last time I did something in 8 minutes, but I'm impressed by our ability to come up with some big issues and some ideas about how to go about going after some of those. And actually, I thought they were all pretty good ideas. So anyway, thank you for that. And thank you also to the Women's Leadership Network Summit Planning Committee. We had a lot of people who really worked hard. This is, I always hear from my staff, we have day jobs. Thank you very much, President Crendel, for launching another new initiative. But I think for the students and for our community partners and for the leaders who were here today, I think we covered some very valuable ground and got a really good scan of the landscape about what some of the possibilities are. I also want to thank our sponsors again. I want to thank Emerald Bank and also 31 Gifts for being here and really appreciate their presence and their participation and support of our efforts. I want to thank all of the participants for coming today and participating in the summit. And I think one of the reasons for sort of closing with the idea of a call to action is it doesn't really stop today. That is, don't say, well, I filled out the card and now I can leave. The idea is to move forward and put some of these things in place. So the more you can get things underway along some of the great ideas and leadership models you've heard discussed today, the better. Just close with a quote. Every day we have a choice. We can take the easier road, the more cynical road, which is a road sometimes based on a dream of a past that never was, fear of each other, distancing and blame, or we can take the much more difficult path, the road of transformation, transcendence, compassion, and love, but also accountability and justice. So with that quote, I send you out into the world to do good work, and thank you for your participation. Do some sort of social enterprise today. Thank you.